At least if the federal government is no longer paying subsidy, why are we still borrowing? The administration of President Bola Tinubu right from day one has left no one in doubt as to where it stands on anything that has to do with the payment of subsidy. In the eyes of neoliberal economists, payments of subsidy under any guise is an avoidable burden on the state that would not allow for funds to be available by running the machinery of government, even though they fail to tell us the essence of running the machinery and for whose benefit. The essence of government, which many say might across epochs and the globe believes, is to ensure the happiness of the majority of the citizenry. Therefore, if the reason for his all wholesome annihilation of the citizenry is to enhance the smooth running of the machinery of a government, then one may just be justified. Okay. What does the government ask for if millions of Nigerians can no longer enjoy the nice to life or human dignity simply because we want to run the government machinery? If due to the rigid implementation of these Britain won't inspire state-sponsored socio-economic hardship by the government, Nigerians are starving to death. Who needs the government? Who the government help? The argument by those who subscribe to that new liberal economic policy is that money meant for running the government is being deployed to paying the freebies, which would not allow the citizen to be more hardworking in such a way that increases the national wealth. Its adherents insist that it is only economic philosophy that possesses the efficiency as an antidote to the chronic underdevelopment that is distinguishing the rest from the West. Apologies to Chiwenzu Ibekwe, but contrary to their prognosis and what happened to Greece, the most prominent Western country to have embraced and applied the theory to managing the economy over a decade ago, makes it a difficult one to sell. The state of Greece nearly went under as the economy headed south. No thanks to the IMF and World Bank midwife economic policy of liberalization or deregulation. By deregulation, they mean limited or zero government involvement in the issue in the control of a market. Everything should be left for the market forces of demand and supply to the demand. That is, the price of goods and services following the withdrawal of subsidy should be determined by the unseen hands of the market forces of demand and supply. If implementing the policy as package of Bretton Woods institution trials to where being so much money that the president and his cabinet members, the governors and their cabinet members, as well as other officials of the government, could be traveling to the moon 3 times in a week, and then there shouldn't be a need for Tinubu's administration to request any loan approval from the National Assembly as we currently witness. That is why, since President Bola Tinubu completely removed fuel subsidy, stopped the funding the Nigeria, and now removed subsidy for electricity, I cringe at the most of the things I read in the news concerning the government wanting to take XYZ loans for one project or the other. Just in late September 2023, the Senate approved for the billion to borrow as much as the $8.6 billion and the £100 as part of the 2022 to 2024 the borrowing plan of the federal government. The right championed similarly okayed Tinubu's request to securitize the Central Bank of Nigeria 7.3 trillion ways and means advances to the federal government. This is as Tinubu earlier got approval from the 800 million World Bank loan request from the National Assembly to be distributed among the vulnerable, the same, and the IMF says does not deserve to enjoy subsidies. Subsidies on petrol, education, health, electricity, among other essential services. I know some people would argue that most of the loan requests were made under the administration of Muhammadu Buhari, especially the 7.3 trillion naira loan. But what they fail to admit is the fact that it would be understandable and justifiable if it were the same Buhari applied for them without the intention of removing subsidy, who got those loans? Buhari has an unparalleled record when it comes to using what I call the Kaokudi economic philosophy. Others call it Buharinomics. Whenever a constituents of a government vote told him there is no money to meet any of his requests, it was either they printed more naira notes or they went a borrowing. But here we're talking about Tinubu, the man credited with so much brilliance in financial engineering, towing the line of a Buhari to whom many informed Nigerians have considered the right to mismanage our public financing on account of his acknowledged and certified lack of competence in economic management. If you would excuse my extreme loyalty to simple logic, total subsidy removal should be mutually exclusive with these incessant government borrowings, especially at the current rate at which Tinubu goes about it. That ceaseless borrowing should not be the case when earnings from crude oil have purportedly tripled what they used to be by this time in 2023 and before. Recently, the Kaduna State Governor Uba Sani cried out, detailing how his administration has been struggling to pay the salaries of state workers. He listed the debt to include $587 million, 85 billion naira, and 115 billion naira contractual liabilities. So, if it is true, that state's allocation from the Federation account had increased tremendously then. Governor Sani should be complaining less. After all, he was at a point a part and parcel of the previous administration in the state who was responsible for accumulating this debt until he contested for and won the senatorial seat for Kaduna Central. He secured the senatorial ticket on account of his being close to the then governor, Malam Nasser Rufai, before he got the ultimate reward at the state level, the gubernatorial ticket with which he won the last governorship election. The main reason El-Rufai sent him to the Senate was for him to go and replace Senator Shehu Sani, who in collaboration with Senator Hunkoyi tried to prevent the upper legislative chamber from approving the then governor's humongous application for foreign loans. Meanwhile, it was to prevent a day like this. It was to avoid stories like this that touch, according to Senator Sani. If the complete removal of subsidies and the plethora of newly introduced tax handles are anything to go by, why should the federal government be borrowing more money? What for? Nigeria's national and subnational government should by now be swimming in dollars, contemplating growing foreign reserves and other forms of saving. There should be no need to pursue further any pending loan application, let alone making requests for new ones unless there is something the IMF World Bank is not telling the rest of us, or there is something the theorist told our president, but she refuses to tell us. Quite an interesting article. Okay, on this note, we have come to the end of the news. We say thank you for turning in to listen. Until I come your way next time, enjoy the rest of your day.